My book report on the Thank You Economy.
All right, so book report, Thank You Economy. So tell me, you don't have to read it to me verbatim. I'm going to look at that later. But tell me learning lessons from it.
Just about like social media. Well, the whole book was basically about social media and how
Social media? Media, okay.
And it was about like how people should, or business people should use it. I remember in one text it said too many companies don't use it because they feel as if it's not going to be a good thing, but they're already behind if they do think that, because they need social media in order to like market their business. And then like say someone tweeted like, oh, I hate this like product, I don't like it. Like you could go to them, not in a threatening way, but say, what was so bad about it? Can I help you with anything? Or like basically like, how can I make your experience better? And then for the employees, I remember seeing it was like, don't give them something that like little perks or things that they want. Like things that they want is like to be treated like an adult and a human, not being like, you do this, you do that, but be like, hey, could you do this for us? Like in a nicer way, could you ask them to do something, not like order them to do something, say as you would be in like a little office. And like basically about just treating your customers and your employees like very well, so that they come back.
Okay.
Or they aren't upset, because the moment they are, they're going to say something, and then you may end up forgetting that you didn't do something for them that you thought was
Okay. All right, so
I remember from the book.
So what? Correct me if I'm wrong. So I heard you mention social media. I heard you mention making sure you're interacting with your customers to determine what their experience is. That they do have an experience that, let's say, is good or bad. You just engage them in either case, right? Mm-hmm. And you try to get an understanding of, oh, what did you like about a product? What did you dislike about our product? How could we improve our service next time? All those things, right? Okay. All right, that's good. Is that the only thing you got? Was there anything more from that?
That's all I can remember without looking there.
Okay, well, next time what I would do, anytime we have a book report, create something called an executive summary. So let's say for each chapter, grab one bullet point that, let's say, you would star as being the most important thing about that chapter. And then when we go through it, that way you can identify, let's say, based on each chapter, what's one thing here, one thing there, one thing there, just one thing. You think you can do that right now, based on what you have?
I mean, yes, but there's like 13 chapters.
Okay, so just skim through there. Let's give me one thing from each chapter. We'll practice.
The first one, social media is not, from chapter 1, social media is not a media, nor is it even a platform. It is a massive cultural shift that has profoundly affected the way society uses the greatest platform ever invented, which is the internet.
Okay. All right.
Chapter 2, no big company loses... Oh, wait. I forgot a O. Oh, well. No big company loses to a little company if they are totally committed to winning the fight. So if a big company, say, is not willing to win the fight and they're just like, small company will take them over and they'll be like, what happened? And then they'll be like, you didn't really, really try. So you can't really do too much there. Almost 70% of people, people turn to their family and friends for advice when making like big purchasing decisions, rather than say coworkers or bosses or something.
Okay.
And then this is the one that I saw from chapter 4. I'm just gonna read a bit because it's like a big thing. While perks might make the employee think harder before deciding to leave, there's only 2 things that make the employee really happy and make them want to stay. The first thing is that they're being treated like an adult, and the second feeling is that their individual needs are being met.
Okay.
So make sure that everything they need, they have it. Or
Okay.
not everything, like not crazy things, but most like ground things.
Okay.
As a customer, from chapter 5, as the customer's brand engagement shows up in the customer's newsfeed, the message will spread even farther through social media ecosystem with no additional effort by the brand, which is why most companies that don't use social media should, because it can get out much farther.
Okay.
From chapter 6, America and many private businesses like to live in the middle. They say that the middle is safe and the middle is often quantable, but yeah. And it was about like people are most comfortable staying in the middle, like in their usual, like their usual,
Usual what?
like their usual place, like they're in their comfort zone.
Okay.
They're comfortable in the middle.
Okay.
There's just a few questions from chapter 7. If you've even considered embarking on a social media campaign, or even tried an initiative or two, what was your intent? What was your goal to get someone to click the like button? Or was it to build your online identity and foster connection between yourself and the consumer? If your answer was the former, which was the first one, was your goal to get someone to click through, you've just hit upon the reason why most campaigns fail to meet their potential.
Okay.
From chapter 8, it's hard for some exes to wrap their heads around the idea of spoiling customers because a large number of people who run companies are salespersons at heart, not marketers. The whole thing is one big thing, so I won't read all of it. And then here in chapter 9 was the too many B2B companies are still avoiding social media because they don't believe their customers are part of the social media demographic. So like they're not part of social media. Like if you add a few customers and you don't think they're on social media, so like why should I go on social media? But they usually are.
Okay.
Tech companies often err in the other direction by forgetting to talk to their customers in the real world, like the actual world, not like stuff. And then companies such as Groupon or Microsoft seem like disembodied, untouchable entitles, but they do have real life customers and they should try to meet them up occasionally, other than like saying a few tweets or something. I'm not saying like a big thing, but like a video streaming about to like see where they discuss issues that they have that they're able to resolve.
Okay.
From chapter 11, setting the tone and establishing a cultural foundation of empathy and excellence is essential to success in the thank you economy. So basically in our economy, you have to have a foundation and like, you have to be like, you can't be like uptight, you have to be like out there, I guess.
Open.
Yeah, open. From chapter 12, the complaining customer who uses social media is a better customer to have than a silent one. You can talk to a customer who bothers to complain. If you think it's warranted, you can apologize. If you wish, you can explain yourself or ask for a second chance. So basically, you want people to give their feedback, even if it is bad, but you don't want them to be silent because then you can't help them on anything.
Okay.
Then from the last chapter, work is always, it as though social media has given all of its users an equal platform on which they can build not just their careers but their dreams, like businesses, and like have like talk to other people, have their like dream business and whatever they want, and then they can just put it online and everyone can see.
Okay. I thought you did a very, very good job of giving me the executive summary there. Honestly, I think this book report's a lot better than any of the previous ones you've done in the past.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because I only had one, so I had like lots of time for me to able to like focus on that one book.
So how long did it take you to read this book and do this report?
Probably. Well, I mean, what day did you assign me the book?
It was last month, right?
Yeah, it was like the end of May or something.
Okay.
Let's just say May 25th to be
So
safe.
like 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, I finished on June 6th. I finished the book report on June 6th. I finished the book on June 5th. So about like 10 days.
We'll just say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay. So honestly, we talked before about you putting book reports out based on the content that you read. I think this one is actually viable to actually include your book report for.
Yeah.
Because it hits on useful, important information, so we can get the Cliff Notes version as opposed to having to read the entire book.
Only on 2 pages.
Right, and so let's say, for example, you could give enough information where if someone wanted to learn more about how social media can help their business, it sounds like this would be a good book for that, right? So that's what your book report does. It gives them the cliff notes, but at the same time, it also gives them a recommendation of, hey, if you want to learn more, you can learn more in reading this particular book. All right. Now, as far as the review, we do have that information. I actually even do have, your audio from that we can actually present as well. So I'd say this is probably the first example where we're going to make sure we do everything up. We're going to have you, let's say, maybe in a video or just the audio, just read through all the notes you have as opposed to just the executive summary. Yes. We do have that. You already have it typed up, which makes that already easier.
I typed it
and
up,
then we can add it to your website.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can even put a little marketing ad about it. So if folks wanted to know what the thank you economy was about, you can hear your part. Perfect. And again, this fits into the whole negotiation framework because it talks about how you can negotiate with your customers to get a better sense of what their needs are, what they want, what they like, what they dislike, but getting all that information in to
without them being like silent, because if they're silent, you can't help.
Right, you're doing engagement, and
yes.
when you engage, you're interacting. When you're interacting, there's an opportunity to negotiate.
Yes.
So again, it fits with the framework of the site.
Negotiating is a very
That's it. And plus, what it also does, I think that's also just as powerful, is that if you're, let's say, talking with someone who has a business, right, and they've been negatively affected by the pandemic and the lockdown and all the rules that are in place, this gives them an avenue where they can still engage with their customers.
And see, like, how it would, or how you think, or ask your customers how it would change, or how you would want it to change to be, like, that you feel safe. Say it's like a bowling business, or, like, say that how you would
put it like, you don't have to get into specifics, you just get into the whole idea of engagement, right? So if businesses weren't engaging their customers before because they were doing it, let's say when customers were shopping, or if they had a storefront, they have to extend that engagement on social media so they can find out, what is it that their customers need? How is it that they could actually provide, those that support for their customers? But that's what the extension does. All right, because sometimes companies have to fundamentally change their business. You want to hear an example?
Okay.
All right. So, do you know what the company K-Swiss is?
K-Swiss? No.
Okay. When I was a Boy Scout, there used to be multifunction knives. And a multifunction knife was something that had like clippers and a knife and a file. So that was a Swiss Army knife.
Those what those are.
And they were very useful, especially when I was in Scouts. And they were useful for other folks that just needed something handy, a multi-purpose tool that they could take with them. So when 9/11 happened and there were attacks on the World Trade Center, you could no longer take knives on airplanes. As a result, a lot of their business within that category dried up. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You can't take knives on planes anymore, so folks weren't able to take multi-purpose tools with them wherever they went. So as a result, a lot of their sales and everything dropped. Now, a company like that was affected by something that happened in the world, right? So if they didn't get their act together and they decided that we're just going to keep selling knives, we got to figure out a better way to sell knives, they've been out of business. But they pivoted and they shifted what they were doing in response to how their business was affected. And what they decided to do was actually switch into the luggage category instead of the knife category. So they started offering luggage that was compliant with the new laws around air travel. Which were, you had to have the ability for TSA operators to open your luggage and inspect it, especially check-in luggage before it gets on a plane. Mm-hmm. Why do you think the TSA would want to open luggage and check it out before it gets onto a plane?
Because they want to make sure there aren't any knives sneaking inside of bags or something.
Do you think knives were the issue?
Or like, really anything else?
Like a bomb?
Or gun or something.
Like a bomb?
Yes.
Okay, so needless to say, they filled a gap because the TSA was worried about terrorism on air travel if K-Swiss which they rebranded themselves, I believe, as they could offer luggage that was compliant with TSA standards. Why do you think that was important?
Because if it was with TSA standards, they would still be able to open the bag and check everything inside, but it would still be legal to be able to bring that bag onto a plane.
Exactly. So what that means is you would still, let's say, want security around being able to lock your bag, because you don't just want anyone going through it. But TSA was granted a special key to open the bag. And they could be the only ones that opened it, and you. And so you could still secure your luggage, secure what you needed to, and still make it through TSA and check your bag in, giving them the ability to open your locked luggage, inspect it, and close it and lock it back up again.
So then, yeah, like there would only be like 2 people who would be able to see your bag.
So, needless to say, they created a niche for themselves. They created luggage that was travel friendly with the new rules and the new law. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's an example of how a company pivoted in order to make themselves work with the way the world changed. And that's incredibly important for a business. If a business is not able to change, it can easily go out of business. And so the reason I present that is now you have an example of why a company may want to shift its focus in order to stay in business. Just as Swiss Army, transitioned themselves into K-Swiss, becoming a premier luggage brand, right? You might have another business that was affected by the coronavirus pandemic that operated a certain way before, and they transitioned to operate into a new way after. Right? So, give you an example, one company that kind of made a little bit of a shift is Custom Ink. They are a local t-shirt manufacturer in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Mm-hmm. And they've created their own set of PPE for masks, for face coverings, out of t-shirts. And their material to supplement a new market that wasn't there before. So you have to know what's going on. You have to know what people need, because governors and a lot of the reopening rules, the guidelines are for everyone to be wearing face masks. Now, not everyone will, as you've seen, but if you offer something within that category, all of a sudden you have a new business avenue that wasn't there before. So that's where you have to change and pivot.